Hi and welcome. So now we're looking at food choices, diet, and so on. And especially with reduced CO2 now in the area of climate change and what kind of impact that has on climate change. Well, it's basically one of the most attractive and most important things, really, what we can do in the world. It's linking food and climate together. So why is this the case? And I'm like looking at my script every now and then. Really it's like this. There are studies out there who say if the whole world would eat basically vegan, we are eating optimal for CO2, then already we would just 80% of the agricultural area we wouldn't need anymore. And then there's like other things here as well. Like especially in the industrialized nations, people are eating too much. In Europe and the United States, we consume 4,000 calories per day per person, but we would need something only about less than 2,000. So we practically consume double the amount of calories in the Western developed world. And that's like in a lot of places, people eat too much. They consume too much, and also there's a huge amount of food waste. So that means if we pack up all this together, and if we would just get the world to eat the correct amount of stuff, the correct things, like basically going away from meat, going to more plant-based sources and so on. So we would change the content of the diet, then the people would be eating only as much as they need. So we just go from 4,000 to 2,000 calories. So the people would be all sort of slim and healthy. That's good for everybody as well. So we would bring people that they just eat the correct amount, not more. And then we would also eliminate food waste, because that's one of the things as well. We have this in restaurants, we have this in homes, in a lot of developed countries. Even though I was having a discussion with my team, and then they asked me, Thomas, in Germany people do have refrigerators. Do you have this there? And that's what the person from India, maybe not everybody in India has a refrigerator, but in Germany it's standard more or less. Even if you are in a home of a very poor person, you would find a refrigerator. Still, we 20% of the food is just basically wasted. That's one of the key sources of waste. People are buying stuff and then we are throwing it away. It's not only bad for your purse, money, it's really bad for the environment as well. So that's if we get food that people are that would really be optimizing the food chain of the world. Hunger would be a problem we wouldn't really see anymore, because we are just optimizing this, but this is only a side effect. Really, we would just 80% of the agricultural area used today could be replanted with forests. And even, it could be much more if there's a field, you can make a forest in between there. There's lots and lots of options to make the whole world much better for CO2. We plant more trees, more forests, and we are taking CO2 from the atmosphere on a large scale. That's important, on a very, very large scale. And that's only happening because we just change the way we eat. Okay, so this is the precondition for the whole thing. Food is very important. Also, psychological factor, very important thing. Why do we want to link this? The target audience, by the way, are of course women. They are more environmental cautious than men. So if I go around and ask people to join the project, the women are much more interested in this kind of thing than men. So basically, we are looking at women here, and also women, important, are usually taking the food choices for a whole family. If a mother is going to buy this stuff in the supermarket, she's making the food choices. So that's why they are more important than the men. The men are usually eating what comes to the table sometimes. So, and then we want to link the psychology. It's really we want to link CO2, climate, and food, because you're doing food choices every day several times. You're choosing what to eat, how much to eat, and so on. So we want to link your thinking that you see I can do something about CO2 and climate every day. Otherwise, you are just saying, I'm just helpless. That's where most people are. They say, yeah, but I can't do anything. I have to go to work. I take my car. What else should I be doing? And then it's like a nuisance thinking about CO2. But food is something where you can make a decision every day. So you influence the climate every day. As you say, hey, I really want to do something for CO2. I can take the bicycle or take the bus and public transport. That's maybe some things I can do. But also every day I make food decisions. Whenever I go to the supermarket, what I buy, what I put in my cart is actually influencing climate change. Very important. So that's one important thing. And we want to bring this out to the whole world. So how does it work now? It's very much wanted and needed. Dieting, the whole area of diet, food sector, it's a multi-billion dollar euro industry. There are so many people, so many books about diet, so many people about diet, so many products about diet, which is hey, it's already came to me, why are people buying food if they want to lose weight? It's but marketing is really, really good. So people are basically buying stuff and investing lots of money into this. So that's a huge, huge industry. And so far, the whole link between food and CO2 and climate isn't really there. You don't find this. Yeah, some people are talking a little bit about this, but not there. Huh? So what are we going to do? So first of all, we have to do something about research and data. That's really the foundation. We are scientifically driven. We're not going to make anything up. We're not going to say, it's just by this. No, we have to do and go out and do some research and data. If you have a food product, you can put it in a machine and that machine is going to tell you, okay, there's so much of that stuff inside and so much calories and so much protein and blah, blah, blah. So you get all this by taking something and throwing it in a machine. So that's simple. But how is it now if I eat 100 gram or a kilogram of rice? How much CO2 impact is the kilogram of rice? We have to research this. There is probably already stuff out there, but maybe we have to use and do our own calculations and assumptions. Of course, we are all publishing this on Reddit. All our stuff will be open source because we want to build this, and it's going to be a scientific community. It's a science-based approach. We are not making stuff up. We need research behind this. But it's not that simple that you can say, hey, I take an egg and I can tell you how much that egg. Maybe it depends on which part of the world you are. If you are in the UAE, it's probably that egg has been maybe flying in. Yeah? Or if I'm in Germany and I eat a kilogram of rice, the CO2 impact is probably bigger than if you are in India, I assume. So it might be depending on the region where you live. And that's making it a little bit more complicated. If I eat an apple, and they are here in the southern part of Germany, there's lots and lots of apple farms. So the CO2 impact of these apples isn't really that great, I assume. Huh? Or if I go out there and there's a field with strawberries and I go there and pick the strawberries myself, I think that the CO2 impact of this isn't really that big, especially if I go there with a bicycle. So anyway, but you see there's lots and lots of stuff in there, and making the CO2 impact of a piece of something isn't really that simple. That's why we need people who are going to do this, and we research this, we put this up, we calculate this, we put this up in tables and publish it, because we want to have the discussion. Because if somebody is saying that, but it's not that thing, I have different data here, then of course welcome that we work together in all this. So, we are going to put this out here on Reddit that everybody can know it, because that's one of the second thing. It's open access. It's open source. We want to be building trust. And we want to build this for the whole world. So we are not going to make it a reduce CO2 now diet, and it's totally proprietary. And no, it's not going to be this way. We are going to develop it. We put this out and make it accessible. Yeah. And then everybody can use it. And we actually encourage people to be successful and making a a book around this, or your own social media channel, or you become a coach. Take this stuff and become successful, super rich, and market it in the whole. We will be really grateful because it's a solution we want to bring to the whole planet. It doesn't have to be done by reduce CO2 alone. No, we want to have lots of people actually using this for business. Yeah? So you can like coaching and consulting. You can coach companies. Recently, there's on WMF, they had a company restaurant, and that company restaurant was publishing things on how much CO2 impact the menu items have. I was personally here in the HNU in the university and asked, the people, how about making something like CO2 and the food, And they were like, you have to talk to somebody else. So it's not something which is going on obviously right now, but that's like one of the things. Hey, let's start, finding out what is really good for CO2 and then deliver this and make the people aware that, hey, you can have like the CO2 optimized menu here. And good. So this is like all finding out how exactly a CO2 diet, what is really good, and I have some assumptions that like vegetables and so on are good and like red meat wouldn't be that great, but it really depends, So we don't know that yet. We want to have some science behind it and can say, yes, if you eat this and you eat like maybe potatoes potatoes might be quite good in Germany because they are growing here. So I think that's something what would be working, I assume. But this is just an assumption. Do I have science about it? No. That's what we want to do and find out, okay, here, these are like the CO2 values of items. Because here right now, if I pick some food out of my somewhere, there's all the nutrition stuff going on there. But like, is this now good for CO2 or not? We don't know. There's like companies saying, hey, we have like CO2 kind of, we have made it CO2 neutral. But still, most of these claims, I don't know, could be greenwashing and whatever. It's really like, hey, if you compare, I can eat a bar of chocolate or an ice cream. What is better for CO2? Maybe I should eat the strawberries or the vegetables. I don't know. That's like what is really like the knowledge, what we're working on, that we get a knowledge base of this is like CO2 data. So, and then you can be coaching like company restaurants. There's a whole, if you're really good at this and you have understood the whole thing, there's a whole industry out there just waiting for this solution because like it's en vogue to be talking about climate change and making CO2 impacting solutions. And food is really one of the most important ones. Really, I'm very, very passionate about this. And of course, you can you can train individuals because it's like food, health, diet. If somebody wants to make a diet, yeah, of course, it's a good idea if they do a plant, like basically plant-based diet. I have been doing diets like Atkins, where you basically eat like meat all the time with like very large quantities of meat. That's not really a CO2 optimal diet. I actually liked this Atkins at that time, yeah, but because you were eating like lots of vegetables, but lots of protein in there, but not really in our CO2 optimal version, not really, So you can be coaching and consulting companies and individuals on, of course. So now becomes one very important part. The social, not only social media, personal training. Why can we make this happen? What are we making different than others? This is one very important point. Well, if you we have so many people from around the world in the team, and we are not paying anybody any salaries, but like there's people on board from Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, all kinds of countries already, and also from Africa and so on. And usually in these countries, you have like a worker, somebody who's like working in a factory and going to work maybe 10 hours a day, 6 days a week or so. They would earn less than 200 euros per month. Yeah, they earn something between 100 and so unskilled labor, 100 to 200 euros. So India is a very important thing. It's very interesting because They all speak English there. Yeah, they speak their local languages, of course, but they also all speak English. Yeah, it's like they have so many that among Indians, they speak English. That's good. Why? Imagine that. Such a person who makes their living from working every day, hard work, yeah, and earning something 100 to 200 euros. That person is now taking his smartphone and calling Thomas every day for 10 to 15 minutes and saying something like this: Thomas, what did you eat yesterday? Okay? Did you follow your plan? How much exercise did you do? What is the plan for today? And so on. So just like questions where that person is asking me questions, really simple. I made the plan. That person could consult me as well on what the plan should be, but I'm like not stupid. I'm already getting that what I should be eating this. That person is just helping me as a personal trainer to check in every day. Maybe the first 2 or 3 days you will be still doing something else and don't care. But imagine that there's a person calling you every day, and that person is checking in that you follow your plan, what you developed yourself. You will be so embarrassed after some time that you actually start following your plan. Much better than if you would be just deciding, I make a New Year's resolution and I do this now. That thing is gone like after a day. But imagine that there's somebody coming to you by phone every day for like 10 minutes or so. Not really long time needed. It's just like, Thomas, what did you eat today? Could be even 5 minutes. That could be very effective, because it's just yes, thank you very much. I ate exactly what I meant. I see it on the scale. It really works. Everything is fine. That person called. So imagine for such a call, which is really simple, you pay €1 per call. That would be like, we call this Amazon for services or eBay for carbon credits, to build a platform where we can sell services and so on. Yeah? And this would be a very basic service, that just somebody is calling you and checking in and holding you accountable for something what you decided. Imagine that you're a boss at work, you come to work and somebody's asking you, what did you eat yesterday? Did you follow your plan? Did you exercise? Stuff like this, And would that be really something which works? Yes, of course. It makes your chances of success from like mediocre 5% or so of people who buy a diet book actually succeeding with it, close to the 90%. Why? Because you have somebody who's like really checking in with you. It's not like just, maybe for some people would work a message, but really like somebody who is really like, you speak to that person and you can't really be lying there, because you will be lying on WhatsApp. No, really. It's a telephone conversation. That person is calling you, you're picking up and you're saying, yeah, I ate the ice cream yesterday. I know. Okay, good. What are you doing today? And that person can be coaching you as well in the end. But imagine that if you get such a call for $1 or €1 per day, that's like in a month, it's like 30 euros or something. Yeah. So is that a lot of money for somebody like me? No. If I really want to, fulfill my goals, that is not a big amount of money. That's like here, a pair of shoes is like maybe 100 euros or so, a pair of sneakers, and people buy them all the time. So this is a service which would be really very valuable, and it wouldn't require much money. But for the person in India, if that person is just having like 5 of these clients per day, so that person is making 5 euros per day, 150 euros per month. That person is making from 1 hour on the telephone more money than working like the whole day in the factory. Imagine that. That is such a huge potential, and that person just needs to be speaking some English, asking some questions. Of course, if you really succeed by that person calling you all the time, you will give them a bonus at the end of the month, or do some goals, whatever. It's like really, and we're not even talking about coaching really here, just like some questions to hold you accountable. Really, really simple. Imagine that person is just going to get like maybe €2 per call. Imagine that. And of course, they're just like working an hour per day and make more money than in their factory job. They could be doing this for 10 hours easily because they just hang around at home, like easily, just being on the phone for 10 hours. Imagine how much money they would be making, from this. Do you see the potential here? Yeah. And we're not even talking about somebody who's actively then learning, pursuing like how to coach people, getting better in English and so on. It's like huge potential to deliver a whole new service and make this successful. And this is why we link this Amazon for services kind of thing that we offer. Hey, you can have your personal trainer for like almost no money. And it's a really good deal because they don't have to go to the factory and work there under crucial conditions. They just have a smartphone and a charger and a network connection. That's all what is needed for this. Yeah, and that's really cool. So then we are like training people also on social media, because let's face it, if you are like in health and diet and nutrition, and maybe you are female and you are also like an attractive person, of course you should be on social media. And anyway, you should be there. And marketing this, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So we are training you actually on how to start stuff and how to learn on social media. So you can start by your own channels, use that input, put it out there, and then of course you can also make one of our company channels and end up when you know what you're really doing. But like we are training people and saying, hey, of course, yeah, this is how it works. Join us and start building your own channels. So the vision is really that we are going to make an impact in the world with food. So why is this now going to work where others failed? Yeah, that's a very good thing. There's one very other important psychological factor here. If you do something for yourself, like usually when you want to make a diet, it's about you fitting your jeans, you losing some kilos, you looking good, stuff like this. But then you find out that the people around the world are also like overweight and stuff like this, so you just forget it. And if it's just only about you, like New Year's resolutions, they are gone immediately. If you do just something for yourself, the impact is that your motivation will fade really quickly. It's gone really simple. So the thing is that we are linking this now with a much bigger target. And the target, like for me, my thing is I do the whole thing. Not because of me. I'm like, for me, it's quite okay if Germany is going to get a little bit warmer. Why? Hey, it's quite cold, or it has been quite cold in the winter. It's still cold in the winters. It's not so nice. I like it a little bit warmer more than when it's so cold and wet, So for just Germany alone, a little bit warmer, for me, doesn't really matter. Why I do this is that I say, there's a whole world out there, it's changing, and I want to leave this world behind, that my daughter, maybe when she ever has children, they can still use this planet, and it's not going to be a mess. It's not going to be completely changed in climate and so on. But this is like where we are going. We're going to a planet where the climate change will actually be totally dramatic and all over the world. There will be enormous changes, wars, all kinds of stuff going on. No, but we can turn this around, really. And that's why I do this. Not for me, for a loved one, my daughter, and especially all human beings when their children get involved, for almost all human beings. They are motivated. They will do and suffer and do things for their children, which they would never ever do for themselves. So that's a very, very high motivator we bring here, that you are doing this diet not for yourself to look good and be like having your body, why do you need to, just to make some photographs? You have AI today. You don't need to like get slim. If you just want to post some photographs on Instagram, You don't need to be like really slim, that doesn't really matter. You can post your photos just by doing some AI clicks. No, really, it's about that you leave a legacy. So we link this with a long-term goal, your children, that you do something for your loved ones. Immediately, your motivator becomes much higher. So, and then of course, we link this together with this offer that you can have like a personal trainer. So that's like completely unique. And this is what we are going to develop in this network. Imagine that, if you want to have your own dietitian advisor, you are paying in these parts of the countries lots of money. So people are not doing this if you have to like pay lots and lots of money for something. But hey, knowing you pay somebody who is calling you regularly, holding you to account, it's going to work. Yeah? And you are giving this person, a real person you have on the phone. It's not an AI, it's a real person who's talking to you and standing for you that you achieve this. That is really going to make a difference. And you are paying them a small amount of money, €1 per day, €1 or so per call. It's no money here, But for them, it makes big impact. And trust me, if like my parents, they supported in I think in Nepal, we supported like a project, and then they sent us some tea over, or they made us some, It was like we didn't really send a lot of money, For us it was like, but for them it was a lot of money, and a big impact. And that was, my father always wanted to go there and visit this, it's just like, and he was like so touched by this. You're helping somebody around the world making their living by helping you achieving something for yourself and your loved ones and for the whole world. Isn't that really cool? Good. And then, of course, we are developing technology to support you because, hey, nowadays we can make an app, and there's apps out there which help you to count calories. Some of them are really, really good, but totally annoying if you don't pay for them. So we are like developing an application, and that application should be there that helps you counting calories, and has also, of course, a feature to count your CO2 impact to help you in this. And basically, it's just like one new column in the nutrition data what we put in, and also like give you the opportunity to do something for CO2 all the time and help you with technology. So we are bringing all this together: technology, research, and a total freaking good network. And then we would like to bring people out who are like publishing books, and it's like, again, it's open source. We are developing this as a project, and we want to have like lots and lots of people marketing it, that they become successful with this diet. I would like to see hundreds of people writing books and being really highly paid people in this area in the future. Why? To make a difference on the whole planet. So, already long video. Thank you very much for watching. Please follow the channel.